CO tells him that he even looks younger than he does. Director Kim tells CO that he is just full of life. He could do anything. CO tells him that the world would be shocked at his skeletal restructuring, and Director Kim agrees. Now he needs to hand the Martial Alliance over to his successor soon. CO wonders if anyone fits the bill. The Martial Alliance leader must have at least some skill in martial arts, but not a single one understands martial arts properly. CO just tells Director Kim that he is the extraordinary one here. There's no genius in the world like him. But even so, Director Kim must find a successor. 15 years later, CO explains that it's been 35 years since he started his life on the ascension path. Now he is already in his mid-60s, and Director Kim, after a single year since his skeletal restructuring, passed the position of Alliance leader to his successor and left. CO wished he could retire with him, but to manage order within the Alliance, he had no choice but to stay as the strategist of the Alliance until now. Director Kim said he wished to travel around Yinghua more. Maybe it's because of that, but Director Kim didn't come to CO's retirement ceremony. As CO is walking in the compound, he notices that the place is too quiet. He bought this manor with his retirement fund, but it is too big to live in alone. He notices someone in the bush ahead and asks for the person's identity. He slowly approaches and realizes that it is Director Kim, who looks like he was beaten up. CO asks what happened to him and where he has been instead of coming to his retirement ceremony. Before he can finish his words, Director Kim falls to the ground cause he is exhausted. CO asks again what happened to him, and Director Kim explains that he truly believed he was blessed with a gift in martial arts. CO agrees, if he weren't a genius, then who could be considered one? Director Kim continues that among those in Yinghua, no, among any ordinary mortal, nobody is capable of matching his martial talent. CO laughs that he is calling himself ordinary, cause everyone knows he is the strongest man underneath the heavens. Before CO can finish his words again, Director Kim tells him that he fought a cultivator. You know, the ones from 35 years ago. Those flying monsters who kidnapped their co-workers. CO going silent for a while and thinks about cultivators. He recalls that they don't reveal themselves. Easily they lurk within the shadows of Yinghua's royal palace, manipulating the entire country. And ever since the alliance was formed, as their influence in Yinghua grew, they began to direct their influence on them. Director Kim had problems with that, but as going against their words would mean opposing the nation itself, he had no choice but to follow orders for the sake of protecting the Martial Alliance. Because of that, Director Kim gave up the position of Alliance leader. He wanted to duel them as an individual by scouring Yinghua alone. In the present, Director Kim explains that the cultivators were truly difficult to find, and even when he did locate one, they would ignore him, saying that mortals aren't worth fighting and used illusions or simply flew to leave, making it difficult to even fight them. But 5 years ago, he was able to duel a cultivator. CO asks if he managed to win, and Director Kim says yes. CO is relieved, because if he had done that while he was the Alliance leader, he would have caused him a lot of trouble. Director Kim continues to explain that he put his life on the line to fight the cultivator who reached the chi building stage, and he barely managed to make a small cut on his fingertip. CO becomes shocked after hearing this. The cultivator said that even a single scratch would count as his loss, so technically Director Kim won. CO asks if the cultivator of the chi building stage is like one of the strongest cultivators. Director Kim responds, no, the cultivator told him chi building was the second to lowest stage in the world of cultivation. Using the standard of a martial artist, it's akin to being a second rate. CO thinks that this is nonsense. In his previous life, and this one, he knew cultivators were ridiculous beings. But Director Kim's martial arts undoubtedly reached the sky. He can truly walk atop nothing and utilize martial arts while suspended in air, and he's capable of cutting through entire buildings or steel as if they were tofu. But such a genius barely nipped the finger of a bottom-rate cultivator. Director Kim feels like he was a frog in the well. Mortals can't face the cultivators. They are living natural disasters. CO is honestly speechless. Director Kim reaches into his clothes and pulls out the cultivator's severed arm that he managed to cut off today. CO gets excited again that martial arts was able to surpass, but director Kim says no and cuts him off again. He explains that the cultivator just placed some paper talisman on himself and his hand grew back. Director Kim declares that he thinks this is the limit of his martial arts. CO asks what he means, and he tells him that he is here to say goodbye to him today. The cultivator said he held Director Kim's willpower in high regard, and that he was willing to accept him into his cultivation sect. He will probably start from the bottom up there. CO asks, but to become a cultivator means to surpass mortals. Isn't it impossible without a spiritual root? For a regular mortal, the stage of 5 energies converging to the origin is equivalent to the 5-element spiritual root the cultivators are naturally born with. Director Kim explains to CO that in order to gain the trait that cultivators are born with, mortals like them must use their entire lives to even manifest that basic quality. He then uses his sword to cut open a dimension rift and steps into it. He tells CO that he is leaving now to aim for a higher stage. This book that he is offering is his last gift to CO. He tells him to stay safe, and he disappears. The name of the book is The Record of Transcending Cultivation and Exhausting Martial Arts. It is a record of attempting to use martial arts to surpass cultivation. CO wonders where Director Kim is going without him this time. And so time passed, and just like that, he lay on his deathbed again. Fate sure is cruel. It has been 50 years since he came to this world, and here her lies dying from a common cold, just like his previous life. No matter how hard a human tries, they can't escape fate. In the end, all that changed is his house and bed. Ultimately, he died on the same day. He lived life to its limits, because he didn't want to experience the same regret in my past life. He was so busy he hadn't even thought of marriage. Thanks to that, he was able to unite the Yangwa martial sects and experience plenty of the fame and wealth the mortal world could offer. But he still has this sense of emptiness. If they had struggled harder, could Director Kim and he have reached the sky? His body quakes in this sense of powerlessness. What a disappointment, and just like that, he died again. This marks the end of his regression, since the MC of the story is dead again. I would like to remind you to click on the like button for this video, subscribe to the channel for more Manhwa recaps, and click on that bell to get notification when there is a new update. Thank you. Back to the story, his second regression begins. CO opens his eyes and finds himself back in the same forest in his previous life, the Ascension Path. But this time, things will surely be different. His body is brimming with energy, and he notices that his regression isn't just a one-time thing. So bro is basically Subaru from the anime, Re-Zero, but with better mental strength. I respect that. And just like his previous life, the Nepo baby charges at him with his hand to slap him again. Is this guy going to do this every time he comes back to this place? CO swiftly moves out of the way to dodge the slap. While Nepo baby is busy trying to slap him, CO is wondering why he regressed again. A new body, full of energy, and a new opportunity are undoubtedly a good thing. Though what about the things he had built up for the past 50 years? At the moment, the Nepo baby is still trying to hit CO. Bro gave it up, all right. He calls CO a bastard. He almost got them all killed. And now you have the nerve to dodge. But still, CO isn't really listening to his complaints. He wonders if regression is really a good thing. In his opinion, it is not. It is a curse, one that denies him the meaning of life, and surely a couple of regressions may be a thankful opportunity. But if this were to go on forever, he'd be trapped in fate's wheel, forced to wallow in the suffering of life until the end of time. Moreover, he can't meet the people he knew in his previous life again. The people in front of him now are simply beings that have the same appearance as the people he knew from his past life. And the Director Kim, whom he thought of as my own brother, no longer exists in this world. Director Kim tries to calm the Nepo baby down. CO tells the Nepo baby to calm down. What help would being angry do right now? In the first place, the Nepo baby was supposed to be on driving duty today. He warned him before he forced CO to drive that he wasn't able to sleep last night because of the work the Nepo baby had already offloaded on me. How would he have been able to dodge an incoming avalanche on a narrow road? You should stop pointing fingers and let them think about what we need to do. The Nepo baby is silent after this. CO tells Director Kim that they need to search for a place where they can stay before the sun sets. Everyone else should look for the car or a way out of this forest. When the sun sets, he'll light a fire, so come on over to it. Later at night, CO wonders if there is even a point in making bonds with these people. He'll be alone by himself in the end. Right now, what he fears is the unending regression of time to come. Infinite regression, this ability must be removed. Would it disappear if he somehow returned to Earth? Seeing how he always regresses back to this moment on the ascension path. But he wonders how he would get home. And he remembers the old cultivator from his previous life said that when the ascension gate opens, nearby spaces destabilize, so ordinary humans could have been caught up in spatial storms. So the answer to returning is the ascension gate. It must be related to why they fell into this world in the first place. Maybe they can return to their original world using it. First, that means he must grow stronger. As an ordinary mortal, he can't accomplish anything. He needs to become a cultivator like Director Kim in his past life and cultivate. Once he gains a longer lifespan by becoming a cultivator, he'll be able to research the ascension gate sufficiently. He will become a cultivator and go to the ascension gate. In the morning, CO was busy consuming the yellow bamboo roots to help gather strong chi in his core. He didn't know heart methods in his previous life, so eating these yellow bamboo roots wouldn't have done anything. But if he uses the dragon vein chi method that Director Kim made for him, he can break through his blocked chi passageways. He realizes that it's not easy to cure a body soaked in preservatives from fast food and stress. Sometime later, he breaks a stick and shapes it as a sword, so he can use it for training. He starts practicing his moves from his previous life. In his past life, he was just an average second-rate martial artist, but since he wasn't practicing near the end of his life, his skills had dulled. But of course, he has it all in his head, so growing skills is just a matter of time. After he strikes the tree with severing mountain sword technique, Director Kim notices it and approaches him to ask how he managed to slash the tree with a wooden stick. Just what was that strength? CO looks at the tree that he slashed and thinks that this is the man who will instruct me to become a cultivator. He asks Director Kim if he wants to try learning this technique, and Director Kim gets excited at the idea of learning the technique. Out of nowhere, the fox comes, calls them filthy humans, and they dare play around in front of the master of this forest. CO completely forgot about the fox. The fox attacks CO again in this life, and all he can do now is to apply pressure to his nerves to ease the pain as the fox bites away at his arm. He thinks to himself that he is weak in my first life, and in my second he was weak. And now, in his third regression as well. So we're just going to skip his second regression and jump to the third regression. You want to know what happened in his second life? In his previous life, he vowed to attain the level of 5 energies converging to the origin and become a cultivator. But despite learning from the best master for over 100 years, he barely managed to make it to becoming a first-rate martial artist. His talent is worthless compared to that of the people here. Despite that, he then rips his arm off, to everyone's shock, and hands it over to the fox. Regardless of whether becoming a cultivator takes a millennium or 10 more regressions, he won't give up. The fox is pleased at CO's attitude. He is offering up a sacrifice of his own accord. He decides to have a taste. CO then vows that he will give the fox his arm anytime, until the day he surpasses the fox's strength. After eating his arm, the fox left, allowing us to stay there. Without regard for his coworkers, he continued to swing his sword alone in the forest. Aside from when the cultivators arrived to heal his arm and kidnap his coworkers, he swung his sword without food or rest. He finally stopped on the 4th day, when the Sea Dragon King appeared. CO dared to ask the Sea Dragon King a question, which is how he tends to give spiritual root to someone like their deputy manager, Ohaisio, who lacks a spiritual root. The Sea Dragon King is quite surprised that a mere mortal like CO is well informed about cultivators, but he still answers the question anyway. He plans to give her his blood to awaken the spiritual root in her befitting of her talents. CEO then pleads to the Sea Dragon King for the rest of them to be given the same opportunity, since they're all from the same land. So they might also have some special powers that he could be interested in. The Sea Dragon King is insulted by CEO for making demands and uses his power to bring CEO to his knees. He warns him not to make demands to high-ranking cultivators like me. They've lived through dozens of millennia and have seen and learned countless things they could not even dare to comprehend. As he is one of the kinder ones, he'll forgive him, but certain freakish cultivators would be more than willing to crush you like insect for making eye contact. And just like the previous life, the Sea Dragon King transforms and flies away with his new member. The next day, when the old geezer came for the other female co-worker, CEO asks the same question about the spiritual root. The old cultivator shows him a priceless pill that awakens one to their spiritual senses. A mortal can gain the opportunity to become a cultivator if they consume it. CEO realizes that there are other ways to become a cultivator. The old cultivator adds that it is also possible for mortals to train in martial arts and gain the 5-element spiritual root, but that path takes far too long and results in a mediocre outcome. The pill is the best way. Then the old geezer throws them into the portal again, since he has no business with them. CEO opens his eyes, but this time he didn't end up in an alleyway in the city, but he landed on a tree in the forest southwest of Yanghua. His previous life was just spent like his second one, where he and Director Kim traveled throughout Yanghua. After spending almost 100 years traveling Yanghua, he knows every place by the back of his hand. He wakes up Director Kim. When Director Kim woke up, CEO brought him to the nearest city, and then he explained the situation to him. He seemed quite confused, but he soon appeared to accept this new reality. They soon arrived in Hobiak City and sold the herbs of the Ascension Path to buy a small house. CEO taught Director Kim the language as well as the Severing Mountain Blade, which he had created himself in CEO's second regression by modifying the Severing Mountain Sword in order to make it better suited to the weapon he used. This time, after just 3 months, Director Kim reached the level of 3 flowers. CEO is seriously disheartened, because while someone like him can spend 2 whole lifetimes just training and barely reach first rate, this guy made it in 3 months of learning martial arts. Director Kim is so happy that he tells CEO that he thinks he can beat him now. CEO thinks to himself that this Director Kim is not the same Director Kim he knows from his previous life, whom he considered to be his brother. He is mentally several times younger than CEO. In terms of mental age, he'd be as old as Director Kim's grandfather, so he shouldn't accompany him in this life. He hands Director Kim a book and asks them to go their separate ways. Director Kim is shocked. He wonders if he did something wrong, and what is the reason for this? CEO thinks of what the reason could be. He remembers his regression, when Director Kim became the Martial Alliance leader, but despaired after losing to the cultivators. The second regression wasn't much different. He created the record of gazing cultivation and exceeding martial arts by improving upon the record of improving upon the record of transcending cultivation and the exhausting martial arts and fought cultivators, but he was unable to surpass stronger cultivators and gave up, leaving the path of martial arts and disappearing to become a cultivator. CEO knows that the same thing will happen in this life, and he no longer wishes to witness Director Kim's face filled with despair. He tells Director Kim that he wants to tour the lands and improve his own skills. Director Kim wonders how he will live on his own without CEO. CEO tells him that his martial arts skills should be more than enough to go off on. He has taught him how to communicate, write, and fight. He is a martial artist at the martial peak level, so he no longer needs to worry. Director Kim is just sad that he will have to part ways with someone who shares his homeland once again. CEO decides that they should meet on this day in this very house every 2 years. And Director Kim agrees. After convincing Director Kim, he left the house. CEO heads into town. He goes to the Hall of 8 Respects and is stopped by the guard. He bows and requests a duel. The guard laughs and tells him that one cannot barge into this place. And before he can finish his words, CO slashes at the guard's weapon and his clothes. To his shock, the weapon and clothes fall apart. CO declares that he will grow stronger, and he'll do whatever it takes. Please, if you have made it this far, drop a like for this video, subscribe to this channel for more updates, and the continuation of this story when new chapters drop, and turn on the notifications. Thanks for watching.